How did this woman massacre her entire town? In 1951, the small town of Willow Creek, Ohio, was a friendly place where everyone knew each other. One evening, a massive power outage plunged the entire town into darkness. As the rain poured down, families started lighting candles and waiting for the electricity to return. At the center of town lived Ella Vater, the town's friendly seamstress, making dresses for every family in town. Ella was known for her kindness and warm smile, but no one knew what she was really hiding. As the blackout dragged on, strange things started to happen. Houses were found with their doors wide open, and entire families disappeared without a trace. Panic spread through the town, but with no power, no one could call for help. When the lights finally flickered back on the next morning, the gruesome truth was revealed. Across the town, over 250 bodies were discovered in their homes, each one brutally butchered. Ella was sitting quietly in her small kitchen, stitching together pieces of fabric. But this fabric wasn't made of cloth, it was made of skin. When police arrived, Ella was calm. She uttered just one chilling sentence: "I was just finishing my masterpiece."
These identical twin sisters were pure evil. In the quiet town of Bloomsville in 1952, there were two identical twin sisters named Taylor and Dory. They seemed like ordinary, sweet girls, but behind closed doors, they were evil. One day, a new girl named Mary Jane moved into the neighborhood, and the twins grew jealous. Mary quickly became popular, and the attention shifted away from them. The twins didn't like that. One evening, they invited her to a tea party in the woods. The next day, Mary was reported missing. Weeks passed, and rumors began to swirl. The town grew suspicious, but no one could prove anything. Until one night, the twins' mother, named Anaconda, heard them whispering in their room. She pressed her ear against the door. What she heard sent chills down her spine. "We need another one. Mary wasn't enough." Terrified, their mother opened the door to confront them, only to find the room empty, except for two dolls on their beds. Identical dolls with the faces of her daughters, and a third one with Mary's face, staring right at her. The twins were never seen again. Some say they still live around the area in the forests, looking for their next victim.
This was the real-life Aladdin and Genie, and it was truly horrifying. In 1945, in Shaveport, Louisiana, a rich man named Alaric Danver gained a strange reputation. He could grant people's deepest wishes. Most people who came to him asked for money, and Alaric always delivered. They'd find their bank accounts full, but soon, something awful would happen. Slowly, their loved ones and family members began to disappear one by one. One day, a boy named Jimmy Neutron, who didn't care about money, asked Alaric to make him fly. Alaric, intrigued by the boy's wish, agreed. He created a pair of mechanical wings and strapped them to Jimmy's back. But as he jumped, the wings failed, and Jimmy plummeted to the ground. Alaric stood by, watching with a grin. This incident caused a public uproar, and the police raided his mansion. But what they found in his big basement was pure horror. It turns out he kidnapped the family members and made them work in gold mines, which would allow him to grant wishes for people. But when the police tried to arrest him, he said, "Genie weenie, take my beanie. I'm gone like Houdini," and disappeared forever.
This evil man caused 200 people to go deaf in one day. In 1952, in the small town of Virginsville, Arizona, there was a man named Dickon Balls. Dickon had very large ears, making him hear the drop of a needle 3 blocks away. He heard his neighbors mowing the lawn daily, the talkative woman that was always on the phone, and even the passionate couple across the street every night. He was always so quiet, but no one knew how deep his obsession with silence went. One summer day, Dickon set his twisted plan into motion. He tampered with the town's only radio tower, broadcasting a high-pitched frequency that only he could withstand. By noon, people started screaming in agony. Their ears bursted, and soon, nearly 250 people were left deaf by the end of the day. When police found Dickon in his home, he sat at his desk, surrounded by radios, listening to the deadly sound. He smiled as they arrested him and said, "The silence is beautiful, isn't it?" Later, investigators found journals filled with drawings of ears and notes such as, "If they won't give me silence, I will give it to them." The town never recovered, and locals say, on quiet nights, you can still hear the faint hum of that deadly sound. This man was terrifying during the Civil War. In 1861, during the Civil War, one man struck fear into soldiers from both sides. Brock Lee, known as the Axeman, lived alone on his Kentucky farm. In 1864, as battles raged nearby, soldiers frequently trespassed onto his land, trampling his fields. At first, Brock tried to warn them with a large "No Trespassing" sign, but when that didn't work, He took matters into his own hands. One fateful day, a group of soldiers led by their captain marched across his farm, ignoring the sign. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a pickaxe soared through the air, striking the captain and killing him instantly. The remaining soldiers scrambled in panic, racing for the exit, only to find the axeman blocking their path. With a cold, menacing voice, he said, "Can't you read the sign? No trespassing." Those men were never seen again. As months passed, more soldiers began to disappear near Brock's land. Word spread quickly that the axeman was no ordinary farmer. He didn't care what side of the war you were on. If you trespassed, you never left. By the time the war ended, locals believed over 200 people had died at the hands of the axeman. In 2008, archaeologists visited the property, digging into the soil. What they uncovered was far more horrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. This salon owner was pure evil. In 1947, in the town of Intercourse, Pennsylvania, a woman named Anita Pounding opened a salon named Beauty Magic that promised women unmatched beauty. Every woman who left her salon looked stunning, attracting every man they wanted. But soon, people noticed something strange. The women who visited Anita's salon seemed to age rapidly, their beauty fading faster than it came. Some of them even fell ill. The town was in shock. How could these women, once so vibrant, now look so frail and drained? Anita wasn't just offering beauty treatments, she was stealing their youth. Using a secret formula, she extracted the vitality from her clients and made them look super old after just 1 week. She used this tactic to make the women come back to her every week and spend more money, as she was the only person who had the cure. The women would come back week after week. No one realized that Anita had been slowly draining them to make herself rich. By the time anyone figured it out, it was too late. She vanished, leaving behind a trail of women who paid the ultimate price for fleeting beauty. This was the real-life Shrek, and his story will make you cry. In the 1950s, there was a man known as Morris Tillett, a reclusive farmer who lived deep in the marshlands of Louisiana. Locals would whisper about his terrifying appearance, with a face deformed by a condition called acromegaly. His grotesque looks earned him the cruel nickname Shrek. People avoided his land, believing he was a monster. But Maurice wasn't the monster they made him out to be. He was hiding a secret. One night, a group of curious teens ventured into his swamp, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ogre. They never returned home. Panic swept the town, and a mob stormed his land with torches, determined to end the reign of the swamp beast. But when they broke into his shack, they didn't find the creature they expected. Instead, they discovered a small child locked in a room, one of the missing teens. The real monster wasn't Maurice. It was the local sheriff, named Don Key, who had been using Maurice's terrifying reputation to cover up his own dark crimes. The twist? Maurice had been saving kids one by one and hiding them from the real predator. And just like that, the monster was gone. No one saw Maurice again. He left the town, leaving the people to wonder if the true Shrek was still out there, protecting the innocent.
This American doctor was so evil, it will make you sick. In 1952, Orphan City, Florida, there was a doctor named Al Beback who was known as a brilliant surgeon, but he had a dark obsession. He believed he could unlock the secret to immortality. He found a patient, a young man with no family, who had weeks left to live. The experiment began. Dr. Beback injected a compound into the man's heart and waited. Days passed, and the patient didn't die. He seemed to stabilize. The doctor was happy. Until the patient began to speak. "You've trapped me. I'm still dying, but I can't die." The patient wasn't immortal. He was stuck in a limbo between life and death, unable to heal, unable to die. His body remained alive, but his mind was in agony. As the patient screamed in endless torment, Al realized his dream of immortality had become a nightmare. Some days later, one of the nurses named Anita Mann realized what Al was doing and reported to the police. Once they arrived, the doctor took his own life, and the last thing he said was, "I shall go, but I will be reborn much stronger." But that didn't really happen. He was laid to rest the same day.